The stars above Terran V looked calm and distant, but the planet itself was anything but calm. Red dust storms swept across jagged mountains, and the forests were thick with dangerous plants that could poison a human in minutes. The air was hard to breathe, filled with a faint, sharp scent that made it difficult to think. Most people avoided this planet, but humans who lived here were tougher than anyone else in the galaxy. Captain Luke Harper adjusted the strap of his helmet and looked down at the rugged landscape below. His ship hovered quietly above a deep canyon, its engines soft so the wind would not carry the sound. He had been here before, a long time ago, as a young officer in training, but he had never seen the planet this wild. Red storms covered some valleys, while dark green forests stretched across the cliffs. Every shadow could hide a predator, and every sound could mean danger. Beside him, Lieutenant Sarah Morgan scanned the readings on the ship's console. Her fingers moved fast across the buttons, tapping and adjusting as the sensors picked up movement on the ground. "Something's out there," she said, her voice steady but tense. "Not just the animals. Something bigger." Luke narrowed his eyes. "Aliens?" Sarah shook her head. "I think so. And they're not small. They're moving fast, like they know exactly where to go." Luke's heart beat faster. He had trained for moments like this, but nothing could prepare him for the feeling of being hunted by something unknown. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "We stay calm. We don't make a mistake. Terran V is dangerous, but we know it better than they do." Below them, the ground shivered as enormous machines landed, crushing the red soil. Luke leaned forward, trying to see through the dust. Shapes moved among the machines' stall. Gray-skinned aliens with long limbs and eyes that glowed faintly. Their armor reflected the sunlight, making them look almost like walking mirrors. "They've come for the colony," Sarah whispered. "They don't know the planet kills almost anyone who sets foot here." Luke clenched his fists. The humans in the colony were mostly unarmed civilians' families, who had built homes on the dangerous planet because no one else could live there. And now, the aliens had arrived, thinking they could take over easily. They had no idea what they were about to face. "Luke," Sarah said, her voice low, "if we call for backup, it could be too late. The fleet is weeks away. Terran V is isolated." Luke nodded. "Then we do this ourselves. We'll use the land. We'll use what they don't expect. Terran V will fight for us." The ship descended slowly, keeping to the shadows of the canyon. Luke and Sarah checked their equipment one last time. They carried light weapons, but the real advantage was the knowledge of how to survive here where others would die. When their boots touched the ground, the wind roared around them. Dust and sand scratched their faces, and every step was a careful calculation. The forest ahead was thick, and Luke could see the movement of the aliens through the gaps between the trees. They were searching, scanning for signs of life, confident they would find humans quickly. "They think we're easy prey," Luke muttered. "They think Terran V is just a rough place, but we'll show them it's a graveyard for the unprepared." They moved quickly, silently, keeping low in the shadows. Every plant and rock could be a trap, and Luke reminded himself not to underestimate the planet. Terran V had killed more humans than any alien force ever had. As they approached a narrow pass, a loud screech echoed from above. A winged predator dove past, its talons missing them by inches. Sarah jumped back, heart racing. "These creatures aren't afraid," she said. Luke wiped dust from his face. "Neither are we. We're not just surviving, Sarah. We're ready." They reached the edge of the forest and looked down at the colony. Smoke rose from some buildings, small fires caused by alien landing pods. Panic had begun. Families ran from their homes, carrying what little they could save. The aliens had begun their sweep, not realizing that the humans here were different. These were Deathworlders, tough, smart, dangerous in ways that could be measured with weapons alone. Luke motioned for Sarah to follow. "We need to get to the village leader. He knows how to rally the people." They moved quickly through narrow paths, avoiding alien patrols and the deadly wildlife that lurked in the undergrowth. Soon, they reached a small clearing where the villagers had gathered. The leader, Hank Miller, was a large man with scars running across his arms and face. His eyes were sharp, and he did not flinch when he saw the newcomers. "Luke Harper," Hank said, nodding once. "I've heard of you. And you must be Sarah Morgan. You've come at a dangerous time. Luke stepped forward. We don't have time for introductions. The aliens have landed, and they're taking the colony. We need your people ready to fight, but not like regular soldiers. They'll expect that. We need to use Terran V against them. Hank's eyes glinted. I like your thinking. The planet doesn't forgive the careless, and neither do we. But these aliens are strong. They're fast. How do you plan to beat them? Luke looked around at the village and the surrounding forest. By making them think the planet itself is hunting them. We hit fast, disappear, and let Terran V do the rest. Every trap, every predator, every storm, we use it. We don't fight them on their terms. Hank grinned. I like that. You've got guts, human. All right, let's move. We have a planet to fight with. Over the next few hours, the villagers began preparing. They set traps along the paths they knew were most dangerous. Sharp vines were pulled and strung like tripwires. Spikes made from native stone were sharpened and hidden in the undergrowth. Even the local animals were trained to follow commands, guiding predators toward the alien machines. Luke and Sarah worked side by side with Hank and his people. They moved quietly, checking every trap and every path. The aliens still thought they were invincible, but soon they would learn otherwise. As night fell, the red dust of Terran V mixed with the darkness, turning the world into a shadowy nightmare. Fires burned in the village, providing warmth and light. But Luke knew the real battle would not be fought with fire or lasers alone. It would be fought with survival, cunning, and the fierce skill of humans who had learned to thrive where others died. Sarah checked her scanner again. They're moving closer. Their main force will be here by morning. Luke tightened his grip on his weapon. Then we have only hours. But that's enough. Terran V will give us the advantage they'll never expect. Hank approached, his face serious. They won't see us coming. Not until it's too late. I've lived here all my life. Terran V does the killing for us if we know how to use it. They're arrogant. They don't understand what a human Deathworlder can survive. Luke nodded. Then we'll show them. And when they run, they'll remember that humans are not weak. We fight, and we survive, even where the universe thinks we can't. Above, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the struggle below. But Terran V was alive with movement. Every predator, every rustle in the wind, and every hidden trap was part of a plan. The aliens might have technology, but the humans had something they couldn't understand, a bond with a planet that had hardened them, sharpened them, and made them killers in a way that no machine could match. As the first alien scouts approached the edges of the forest, Luke whispered to Sarah, "They have no idea what's coming." Sarah smiled, a mix of fear and excitement in her eyes. Then let's make sure they learn the hard way. The wind howled around them, carrying the scent of red dust and distant fires. The night was alive with danger, and the humans were ready. Terran V had chosen its champions, and these Deathworlders would not fail. The first echoes of alien movement came closer. Luke and Sarah crouched low, hidden by thick undergrowth. Every nerve in their bodies was alert. The aliens believed the humans were weak, but they had no idea that every step they took brought them closer to the edge of Terran V's fury. And when the storm hit, when the planet itself seemed to rise against the invaders, they would understand too late what it truly meant to face a human Deathworlder. Luke Harper looked at the darkness ahead, and for the first time in weeks, he felt hope, not just for survival, but for victory. Terran V had chosen them, and the aliens would regret ever stepping onto its soil. Luke Harper and Sarah Morgan moved quickly through the thick forests of Terran V, following Hank Miller and the other villagers. The planet's dangers were all around them. Sharp plants reached out like claws, giant insects skittered across the ground, and every shadow could hide a predator waiting to strike. But the humans moved with confidence. Terran V was their home. They knew it, and the planet seemed to respond to them, guiding them through safe paths and warning them of dangers that would kill anyone else. Hank led them to a large clearing near the village. Here, the villagers had begun to assemble traps and prepare defenses. Large pits were dug and lined with sharpened stakes. Thin vines were strung across narrow paths, ready to snap and trip anyone who walked through. Poisonous plants were carefully positioned, their sharp leaves hidden but deadly. It was not just a defense. It was a deadly warning to anyone who dared step too close. Clara Benson, a small but strong woman with fast hands and sharp eyes, ran around the clearing, organizing the volunteers. She assigned tasks, checked the traps, and made sure everyone understood the plan. Luke and Sarah joined her, helping to reinforce the traps and preparing equipment that could give humans an edge. Against the aliens' technology, Sarah knelt beside a large pit trap and pointed. If they step here, they'll fall straight into the stakes. But we need to make sure they can't detect it with their sensors. Clara smiled. That's the idea. Terran V is full of surprises. They think they're the hunters, but the planet itself is hunting with us. Luke observed the area, noting the different natural hazards they could use. We can use the cliffs over there. If they move through the narrow passes, we can push rocks and create avalanches. Terran V will do the killing for us if we set it right. Hank approached, carrying a bundle of rope and metal hooks. I've lived here all my life. These traps alone won't be enough. We need to move like shadows, strike fast, and disappear. Terran V will cover our tracks. We've trained for this. The humans worked through the night, setting traps, marking paths, and practicing silent movements. Even in the darkness, they move like ghosts, unseen and unheard by any alien who might be watching. Luke and Sarah learned quickly, following their lead and understanding that survival here required more than weapons. It required the mind, the body, and a connection to the planet. By early morning, the first signs of alien scouts appeared. Small machines rolled through the forest, scanning the ground. Their glowing eyes scanned the shadows, but they moved too fast and too confident. They thought Terran V was just a wild planet, easy to control. They did not know that the humans here were not like any humans they had seen before. Luke crouched behind a thick bush and watched them carefully. There, he whispered. They're moving right into our trap. Clara nodded. Wait for my signal. We strike together. Terran V will do the rest. The scouts stepped over hidden vines and into the path of pit traps. Before they could react, the ground shifted, and several of the machines fell, their systems damaged by the stakes and sharp stones. The humans struck quickly, using small, precise weapons to finish off the disabled scouts. The forest echoed with the sounds of battle, but it was short and swift. The aliens had underestimated the humans, and it showed. Hank raised his hand. Hold! They'll send more. We need to stay ready. Luke wiped sweat from his face. This is only the beginning. They have no idea what Terran V can do. Over the next hours, the aliens brought more machines and troops into the area. The humans continued to strike, using every advantage of the land. Cliffs were used for rock slides, and hidden pits caught many of the invaders off guard. Predatory animals, trained by the villagers, attacked with precision, driving the aliens into chaos. Sarah worked with Clara to set up communication signals. Small flashes of light, sounds of birds, and movements of animals were used to signal attacks and retreats. The humans moved like a single organism, coordinated and deadly. Every strike was calculated, every retreat planned. Terran V was not just a battlefield. It was a weapon. Luke noticed one of the alien commanders observing from a distance. The tall alien, with shining armor and glowing eyes, seemed confused by the humans' tactics. He called out orders, but his troops were already falling into traps. The alien commander moved closer, trying to regain control. But the humans were always one step ahead. Hank whispered to Luke, they're scared. They didn't expect this. Terran V is teaching them a lesson they won't forget. Luke nodded. And we're just getting started. As the day progressed, the aliens adjusted their tactics, trying to avoid traps and fight back. But Terran V was merciless. Toxic plants released clouds of irritants, forcing them to retreat. Predators hidden in trees and cliffs attacked at the right moment, taking down soldiers and machines. The humans remained calm, knowing their advantage was the planet itself. By evening, the aliens had lost a significant number of scouts and soldiers. Their machines were damaged, and their commanders were confused. They began to pull back, trying to regroup, but the humans had already planned for this. Small squads moved silently, cutting off retreat paths and forcing the aliens into narrow valleys where traps and predators. Awaited. Luke watched as the aliens struggled against the planet. He felt a sense of pride. Humans had been underestimated, thought weak and fragile. But here they were, using intelligence, courage, and the power of Terran V to fight back. The aliens had technology, but they lacked the knowledge and adaptability that came from surviving a death world. Sarah approached him, her face covered in dust but smiling. They think they can learn from this planet, but they can't. Terran V isn't just a world. It's a teacher, and it doesn't forgive mistakes. Hank joined them, his expression serious but proud. We've trained for years. Every human here knows the risks. Terran V made us strong, fast, and smart. They won't survive what we've prepared for them. As night fell again, the forest came alive with the sounds of animals and the movement of the humans. Preparing for the next day, fires were lit in hidden spots, traps were checked, and signals were reviewed. Everyone knew the fight was not over, but the first victory had been theirs. Luke took a moment to look at the stars. Terran V was dangerous, yes, but it was alive, and it had chosen humans as its champions. He felt a connection to the planet that was hard to describe. It was as if the red dust, the sharp rocks, and the wild forests were part of him and his team. Terran V was more than a battlefield, it was a living partner in their fight. Tomorrow, Luke said quietly, we hit them harder. We let Terran V show them that humans are not easy prey. Sarah nodded. They'll regret underestimating us. Terran V is on our side, and we know its secrets. They have no chance. Hank smiled grimly. Let them come. Terran V has trained us for this moment. We survive where others die, and we fight when others run. These aliens will learn the hard way what it means to face a Deathworlder. The night passed with quiet preparation and constant vigilance. Luke and Sarah patrolled the borders, checking traps and ensuring that every human was ready. The aliens might have numbers and technology, but they did not have the planet, the experience, or the spirit that had made these humans Deathworlders. When dawn broke, the red light of Terran V revealed a landscape ready for battle. Traps were in place, predators were positioned, and humans were hidden, ready to strike. The aliens approached again, confident and unaware. Luke, Sarah, Hank, and Clara waited, watching, and knowing that the first contact would not be their last. But it would set the tone for a fight that would be remembered across the galaxy. Luke whispered to Sarah as they crouched behind a cliff, observing the approaching alien machines. They have no idea what Terran V has in store for them, and when the first wave hits, they'll see that humans are not weak. We survive. We fight. We win. Sarah smiled, her eyes shining with determination. Let's show them what Deathworlders can do. And Terran V, alive and deadly, waited silently, ready to teach the invaders a lesson they would never forget. The next morning, the red sun rose over Terran V, casting long shadows across the jagged cliffs and thick forests. Luke Harper and Sarah Morgan crouched on a ridge, observing the alien forces as they moved closer. The aliens were confident, their machines marching in neat lines, their glowing eyes scanning for life. But confidence was their mistake. They did not know Terran V, and they did not know the humans who had adapted to it. Hank Miller stood beside them, his eyes scanning the valley below. They're coming, he said quietly, and they're going to learn fast that this planet is not easy to conquer. Clara Benson checked the traps one last time, ensuring every pit, every vine, and every hidden spike was ready. When they step into our traps, they won't know what hit them, she said. They'll think the planet itself is attacking. Luke nodded. Good, Terran V is with us. We just need to stay hidden until the right moment. The first alien scouts reached the edge of the forest. They moved carefully, scanning for traps, but Terran V had prepared to well. One step over the hidden vines, and the ground beneath a scout gave way, sending it falling into a pit filled with sharpened stakes. The alien sensors went dark, and the remaining scouts paused, confused. Then the humans struck. Luke and Sarah fired from their hiding positions, taking down any scout who tried to escape. Clara signaled the villagers, and they moved like shadows, striking quickly and vanishing before the aliens could react. Terran V itself seemed alive, with sudden gusts of wind pushing debris and dust into the aliens' eyes. While predators hidden in the trees leaped down to attack, the alien commander shouted orders. trying to regain control. His troops fired back with energy weapons, but the humans were fast and invisible, appearing only to strike and disappear. Terran V's terrain gave them every advantage. Narrow paths, jagged cliffs, and poisonous plants made it almost impossible for the aliens to advance without taking casualties. Luke watched as a group of alien machines moved into a narrow valley. He motioned to Hank, "Ready the rock slide, now." Hank and several villagers pushed massive boulders from the cliffs above. Rocks crashed down, blocking the valley and crushing several alien machines. Those that survived scrambled for cover, but the humans had already set more traps in the path ahead. They fell into hidden pits, struck by spikes, and forced back by Terran V's predators. The aliens realized too late that the planet was an enemy they could not control. Sarah and Clara moved to the flanks, signaling to the hidden units. Birds were released to create distractions, and more predators attacked, drawing the aliens into even more traps. Every move was precise, every strike coordinated. Terran V's dangers became weapons in human hands, turning the forest and cliffs into a killing ground. Luke spotted the alien commander moving closer to the center of the battlefield. He seemed furious, barking orders that no one could follow fast enough. Luke whispered to Sarah, "He doesn't understand. Terran V isn't just a battlefield. It's a teacher, and it's showing him the lesson." The humans pressed their advantage. Using ropes and pulleys, they triggered hidden rockfalls, cutting off alien reinforcements. Poisonous plants released clouds of irritating spores, forcing the aliens to retreat or be slowed. Predators struck at precise moments, creating panic among the invaders. Hank called out, "Hold nothing back. Every step they take is their last if they're not careful." The aliens tried to regroup, but Terran V had more surprises. The humans had created false paths, narrow trails that seemed safe but led straight into traps. Machines got stuck in mud pits or tangled in vines. Soldiers were forced into ambushes by hidden units who attacked swiftly and vanished before the aliens could respond. Every mistake the aliens made cost them more soldiers and machines. Luke moved with his team, firing at exposed units while avoiding the deadly natural hazards. "They'll learn fast," he muttered. "Humans survive where others die. We fight where others would fall." Sarah nodded, her eyes scanning for threats. She fired at a small alien drone, disabling it before it could alert the others. "They're not ready for this," she said. "They think they're the hunters, but we're everywhere they look and nowhere at the same time." Hank coordinated with the villagers, moving like a general in a battlefield only they knew. They struck in waves, forcing the aliens deeper into traps. Each step was calculated, each retreat planned. Terran V's dangers became their weapon, and the humans were the guides, unseen but deadly. Clara moved silently along the edge of the forest, signaling units and checking the traps. She released a trained predator, a large cat-like creature with sharp claws and teeth, which leaped at an alien machine, tearing it apart before the aliens could react. She smiled, watching the chaos spread among the enemy ranks. Luke noticed the alien commander struggling to maintain order. He barked at his troops, but every order led them deeper into Terran V's traps. The humans had anticipated every movement, every instinct. The aliens were strong, but they were slow to adapt. Terran V was faster. As the day continued, more alien troops arrived, unaware of the destruction waiting for them. Humans struck from above, below, and the sides, using ropes, arrows, and small weapons. Terran V itself seemed to move with them, dust storms and sudden winds adding to the confusion. The aliens had technology, but it could not fight a planet alive with danger and humans who knew every detail. Luke, Sarah, Hank, and Clara regrouped on a ridge to observe the battlefield. "They're weakening," Luke said. "They've lost so many already, and they still don't know how strong we are," Sarah nodded, breathing heavily. "It's only the beginning. Terran V has more tricks, and so do we. They won't survive this." Hank smiled grimly. "They'll remember this fight. They'll tell their commanders about humans who survive a death world, and they'll fear us in the future." The alien commander realized too late that he had underestimated the humans and Terran V. His troops were scattered, confused, and dying at a pace he could not control. Machines were destroyed, soldiers trapped, and the humans seemed to strike from everywhere and nowhere. Terran V was their ally, its wild and dangerous environment turning the tide of battle. By evening, the first major wave of aliens had been defeated. The humans had minimal losses, thanks to their knowledge of the planet and precise planning. They had survived the first real test and had shown that Terran V could be more deadly than any alien weapon. Luke surveyed the battlefield, seeing the alien forces retreating. They'll regroup, he said, but they've learned something important. Terran V is not just a planet, it's a weapon, and humans are the ones who wield it. Sarah checked the traps one last time and nodded. Tomorrow, we'll hit them even harder. Terran V will teach them the lesson they'll never forget. Hank gathered the villagers. Rest now. We've done well today, but the fight isn't over. Terran V has more to give, and we'll be ready for the next wave. As night fell, the humans prepared for another day. Terran V's predators returned to their hiding spots, the wind shifted, and the forest settled. But the planet was alive with anticipation. The aliens had learned nothing yet, and the humans knew that every step they took could be their last if they weren't careful. But they also knew they had an advantage no one else in the galaxy had: Terran V itself. Luke and Sarah stood at the edge of the ridge, looking at the alien machines in the distance. They have no idea what's coming, Luke said quietly. Sarah smiled. Then we make sure they learn the hard way. Terran V is on our side, and we'll use every danger it offers. The red sun disappeared behind the cliffs, and the forest grew dark. The humans were ready, and Terran V was ready. The aliens had been warned, but they would not understand until it was too late. The Deathworlders had struck first, and the next wave of battle would prove that humans were not easy prey, even for the strongest invaders in the galaxy.